friends, today I'm going to show you a chord melody arrangement of Auld Lang Syne in a nice swing style. You can click the link below to get the free PDF of the arrangement as well as all the exercises we'll go over today. If you don't want to listen to me talk, click to the end of the video. There's a backing track with me playing bass and drums and tablature on screen so that you can just practice along with the band. What I want to do today is give you a little bit of insight into my arranging process for these chord melody tunes and how you can start to build them yourself. Let's get going. When we say we want to play chord melody, it simply means we want to play the chords and the melody at the same time. But to be able to do that, many times we gloss over a lot of the very important steps. And the most important step to playing chord melody is being able to play the melody itself. Until we can do that, there's no sense in putting chords behind it because we're just adding extra notes that are going to cover up that melody. If we don't know where it is on the instrument and where it is in our ear, it's going to be really hard for us to be able to bring that out. Now, I highly recommend that what you do is pause the video and sit there with your uke and figure out the melody to Auld Lang Syne yourself. You might know it maybe a little bit differently than I'm playing it, and that's absolutely okay. Learning it by ear is going to help you 10 times more than reading tablature. And the entire melody, except for the note G, which is your high G string, falls on the A string. I bet that if you stop this video and play around for a half hour, you can figure out the entire melody by ear to Auld Lang Syne. And when you've done that, come back here and let's do a little play along with just the melody. I'll put the tabs on screen for y'all. Let's try it. 1, 2, 3. You've already learned the most important piece of the puzzle. The melody is the song. The chords are pliable. We can reharmonize, we can change things, we can take liberties. The melody needs to stay more or less consistent. But it is nice to know how the basic harmony to a song goes so that we know what we're building off of and not starting from total scratch. Now, Auld Lang Syne is a folk tune. There are a lot of different ways to harmonize this. There are a lot of versions over the years. There are not right chords to this song. I've written out sort of how I'm used to hearing this, and the first 8 bars might sound something like this. Dee da 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 dee da 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 dee da 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 dee da dee da 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 dee da da do dee. And I bet that's probably pretty close to how you're used to hearing it as well. But to me, this is a lot of chords. The first thing that I want to do when I arrange a tune is simplify it to where are those big landing points, where are the highlights? Well, I see this first measure, C to A minor 7th, and we're going to learn in just a moment in the next section that we can compartmentalize C and A minor 7th as the same chord. So I'm just going to say the first measure is C. The second measure here, D minor 7th to G 7th. Well, to me, this is a 2-5 progression, 2-5-1 in C. We can simplify this to a 5 chord. So we can just go C to G 7th in the first 2 bars. Boo dee do do da dee do do. You've probably heard it like this as well, but this is easier for us to build off of. What happens to the next measure? C to C7. Ba da 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 dee to F. That F is a very important chord. C to C7th leading us to F. We see the same movement in time and time in different tunes. And then it really just does the same thing, except in the next line we have a little change here. Ba da 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 dee. We have that E7th in there setting up the A minor. I'm going to get rid of it. We're going to see that the E7th can actually be thought of as an extension of the G7th. So I'm just going to play C to G7th, C, G7th, C. I've now simplified this to a 1-4-5 progression. right? So we go da 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 dee do do da 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 dee da 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 do dee do do da da dee da da do dee. That's all we need to start building the harmony. But now we need to take a look at how we are building the harmony and what devices we're going to use. Once we've simplified the harmony, now it's time to start thinking about our own ideas. And when I'm thinking about harmonizing songs, and especially harmonizing in the moment, I use this approach when I'm improvising as well, not just for chord melody arrangements. I'm using really the chord scales that were developed by Barry Harris, a great jazz pianist and educator. And his diminished scales, his sixth diminished scales, give us such a good outlook at how we can move harmony around. Now, I'll link here to a couple videos that you can watch on the concept, the theoretical side of how to build them. But really, it comes down to this. We're going to take a major scale. We're going to insert a flat six in there. So we're going to go, here's a major scale. We're going to add a flat six. Now we're doing this not for melody, but for harmony. Because what happens when we build 4-note chords off of that collection of notes is instead of getting C major 7, D minor 7, E minor 7, all these different varieties of chords, we get two types of chords. We get a sixth chord, and we get a diminished seventh chord built off the seventh scale degree. So it's just going to have a cycle that. Now we're thinking in the sixth diminished scale now, and we need to know our chord scales because this is going to show us the movement within a chord. We have the on notes, the chord tones of the sixth chord, and then we have the off notes, the notes of the diminished seventh chord. But this all exists within every time that we see C major in the piece. We now know how we can easily harmonize this without thinking. So we get C sixth, B diminished seventh, C sixth, B diminished seven, C sixth, B diminished 7, C6, B diminished 7, and then we back looping to the top. And we'll see when we arrange the piece that this gets us all of our chord tones with these nice sweet sixth chords, which then we can change as well. And then all of our in-between notes, our dominant sounds with these diminished seventh chords, these moving chords, which we can also move around. So let's just practice this C6 diminished scale, and then we'll go on to the other three scales that we need to know. 1, 2, 3. We have another major chord in this piece. We also have the F chord, so we need to know our F6 diminished scale. It's going to be essentially the same thing, same concept, where we're going to start with an F6 chord. We're going to use the diminished seventh chord built off the seventh scale degree. E diminished seventh, then we get F6th. And this might seem hard at first, but as we go along, we'll see that it's just the same shapes in a different order. This is a great way to start practicing your sixth chord inversions, which can really start to unlock a lot of things on the fingerboard. So let's try this F6th chord scale together. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now within the simplification of our harmony, we also have two dominant sounds. We have a G7th and we also have the C7th leading to the F, and we need to have chord scales that exist within those sounds. Now we could use a dominant chord scale, but we're going to use a minor sixth chord scale, which is automatically just going to give us some beautiful color over top of the tune. So we're going to use our D minor 6 diminished scale over top of G7. This sounds very convoluted, but you'll see when we play it, it makes sense. So what are we doing here? It's our same concept, a sixth diminished scale. We're adding that flat sixth in there, but now to a melodic minor sound. So we're in the key of D, we have an F natural in there. That's all. We have our minor third. And as we build these chords, we get the same pattern, except now they're minor sixth chords and a diminished seventh chord. So we get D minor 6, 2, 2, 1, 2. This is the minor sixth chord built off the fifth of the chord of our G7th. You can think of this as a G9 chord. That's what it is. It's a rootless G9. But in this thinking, we're thinking about everything in sixth and minor sixth, which just brings more congruency to the way that we think about harmony. Instead of saying G9 or minor 7 flat 5 or all these different sounds, we're boiling it down to things that are easier for us to think about once you're used to it. And then you can start to improvise a lot more with chords and harmony. So we go D minor 6, and then we got our diminished chord, right? C sharp, diminished 7th, D minor 6, C sharp, diminished 7. Again, these are really G9 inversions as well. And we go all up. So let's practice this D minor 6 chord scale together. And these chord scales are something you just keep coming back to and practicing, because once you have a few under your fingers, we're only a 4-string instrument and we're working with 4 voices, you'll find that these movements are all over the place, and you'll suddenly know how to do this in all 12 keys because the order is always the same. So let's try that D minor 6 chord scale. 1, 2, 3, 4. Within the arrangement, we also need to be able to say C7th, but again, we're going to use a minor 6th scale to do this. How do we know what minor 6th scale? It's built off the 5th of the chord. So we're playing a C7th chord, we're going to play a G minor 6th scale. So we're going to play G minor 6, and what's our diminished chord? Half step down, right? F sharp, diminished 7, G minor 6, F sharp, diminished 7, G minor 6, and so on and so forth. Going through this is going to give us all of our sounds that we need to say C7th, but instantly with some color in it. So let's practice this G minor 6th scale together. 1, 2, 3, 4. Practicing these chord scales can seem tedious, but they're going to make a lot less work for you when you go to learn and make arrangements, because you'll have so many great sounds already under your fingers. Starting out here, our first melody is this, right? So let's put a big old G7th at the front. Our first melody note is C. We know our chord is C, harmonize it with a C6th. Our second melody note is B. In some versions of the melody, you will hear this as, here it is just a C. We're using this chromatic version of it because I get to show you this trick, which is come back to your non-chord tone. Non-chord tone means play your diminished 7th chord. There's a lot of other sounds we can play here as well, but this is a great place to start. And then if you want to go further with this, you can check out this other video here, which will show you how to use different flavors of that diminished and dominant sound, all of the options that you have available to you for that B. Think of our diminished 7th chord as really sort of a holding place in here for all of the options that we can learn later on. But we need to start with these basic 6th and diminished 7th chords. So we get our E is a chord tone. So we're just going to play C6th. Now remember, our next chord is just G7th, but that felt a little boring to me. So I'm going to put the subdominant sound in here. I'm going to use my F6 sound, and then go to my D minor 6, which is what? Which is G7th, right? And then we're going to extend this. Now we could use our diminished sound here, but that can be a little boring if we're always using diminished. So this D minor 6, we're just going to extend, put our pinky on the 7th fret, and then we're using that diminished here. It's a G7 flat 9 to bring us back. And this is what's called borrowing in Barry Harris's terminology. From your D minor 6th, this note, this E, should be harmonized with our diminished chord within this sound. But we're going to borrow just one note from that diminished 7th chord and bring it into our minor 6th chord. And again, borrowed note, right? So we're still thinking of these basic chord shapes. We're just thinking, oh, I want to steal this note from here. That's going to sound nice as an addition. So we're borrowing this E. C6th, I mean, sorry. We go to our C6th, our nice basic sound. But then as we go up here, what happens? We get a C7th chord, and we need to say that C7th, lead us to the F. So we're going to use G minor 6. We're just going to use 2 inversions of that, landing on F6. So let's listen to the entire first line of this, the first phrase. we get that whole walk up to the F6 there, strum it again, and we're back to C. So now we get to practice our next C6th inversion here. In fact, 3 in a row, which is pretty nice. We're just coming down chord tones. That's the beauty of Auld Lang Syne. It's almost entirely chord tones. So it's really good practice in our 6th chords. And then we're gonna do that same thing, that F6 to D minor 6. But this time we are gonna use our diminished chord here, just to change things up a little bit. So, as opposed to very different sounds. Using 2 diminished chords in a row. D minor 6. Nothing crazy here. We're using that entire color palette of chords that we already thought about. Now the rest of the arrangement is really everything that we've gone over. It's just utilizing how we can put these chord scales to use as we come through. Walk it down, G minor 6, F6, C6th chords. As you're going through the arrangement, I've put a couple little tricks in here, a couple of those little borrowed notes, because that's where the fun starts. You see, this is just a very rudimentary version of how we can apply this. Once we get further into this concept, we can start to borrow more notes and make more lush chords. We find that that major 7th sound is really just borrowing a note from our diminished chord. Major 9th chord is playing off the 3rd of it, but we can start to use these same exact shapes. So look at this arrangement, learn this arrangement, learn your 6th chords and your diminished 7th chord scales. These are going to get you so far in starting to harmonize tunes in this manner yourself. So let's put on the backing track. Let's try this all together. 2, 3.